Get a photo for Krishna, if we can all stand up for the worship Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki jai, Jai Shri Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai, Shri Mother Yashoda Damodar Ashtakam ki jai, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshmana Hanuman ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Has everyone got the song sheet with them? Namamishwaram Sakchit Anandarupam Lashat Kundalam Kule Brajamanam Namamishwaram Sakchit Anandarupam Lasat Kundalam Kule Brajamanam Yashoda Viyalakala Davamanam Paramishtamachan Tato Ducha Gopya Yashoda Viyalakala Davamanam Tato Gopya Rudantamo netram yugmam rijantam karamboja yugamena shatam kanetram Rudantamo netram yugmam rijantam karamboja yugamena shatam kanetram Shashakabhatri Rekakakanta Stita Grivangamoda Bhaktivadam Shakabhatri Rekakakanta Stita Grivangamoda Bhaktivadam Iti Triksalilabir Ananda Kunde Sago Shavni Majanta Akyapayantam Iti Triksalilabir Ananda Kunde Sago Shavni Majanta Akyapayantam Kariya Chita Geshu Bhakti Jitatvam Puna Primatastam Sapta Vritti Vande Kariya Chita Geshu Bhakti Jitatvam Puna Primatastam Sapta Vritti Vande Varam Deva Moksham Na Mokshavadimva Najanya Vrineyam Varishadapiha Varam Deva Moksham Na Mokshavadimva Najanya Vrineyam Varishadapiha Ira Deva Bonata Gopala Balam Sada Me Manasya Virasam Kimanye Ira Deva Bonata Gopala Balam Sada Me Manasya Virasam Kimanye Iram te mukam bojam Atyanta Nile Vitam Kuntalesh Dikta Prakdeshcha Gopya Mashambhitam Imbarakta Dharame Manasya Virashta Alam Lakshalabe Namo Deva Damoda Ananta Vishnu Pashida Pabuduka Chalapti Magnam Namo Deva Damoda Ananta Vishnu Pashida Pabuduka Chalapti Magnam Kripadishti Vestyati Dinabatanu Grihane Shamamagyam Yedi Akshidishya Kripadishti Vestyati Dinabatanu Grihane Shamamagyam Yedi Akshidishya Virat Vaja Uchiva Yadva Jaya Mojito Bhakti Vajo Krito Cha Tata Prema Bhaktim Swakame Prayacha Namo Kshegra Visti Damodariya Tata Prema Bhaktim Swakame Prayacha Namo Kshegra Visti Damodariya Namaste Sudhamne Swaradipti Dhamne Twadi Yodarayata Vishwasya Dhamne Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaye Namo Nanta Lilaya Devaya Tubhyam Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaye Namo Nanta Lilaya Devaya Tubhyam Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaye Namo Nanta Lilaya Devaya Tubhyam Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaye Namo Nanta Lilaya Devaya Tubhyam Navami Swaram Sachidananda Rupam Lashat Kundalam Gokule Bhajamanam Lashat Kundalam Gokule Bhajamanam Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Damodara, Radha Damodara, Radha Damodara, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Damodara, Radha Damodara, Radha Damodara, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Landaneshwara Radha Landaneshwara Radha Landaneshwara Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Madana Mohan Radha Madana Mohan Radha Madana Mohan Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Gopinatha Radha Gopinatha Radha Gopinatha Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radhe. Jaya Gauraditai Jaya Gauraditai Jaya Gauraditai Jaya Gauraditai. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva. Jai Shri Shri Radha Damodara Yashoda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Ki Jai. I'll just read the translation for the prayers Damodara Ashtakam. To the Supreme Lord, whose form is the embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge and bliss, whose shark-shaped earrings are swinging to and fro, who's beautifully shining in the divine realm of Gokula, who, due to the offense of breaking the pot of yogurt that his mother was churning into butter and then stealing the butter that was kept hanging from a swing, is quickly running from the wooden grinding mortar in fear of Mother Yashoda, but who has been caught from behind by her, who ran after him with greater speed. To that Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances. Seeing the whipping stick in his mother's hand, he is crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes are filled with fear, and the necklace of pearls around his neck, which is marked with 3 lines of corn shell, is shaking because of his quick breathing due to crying. To this Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, whose belly is bound not with ropes, but with his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances. Hare Krishna, if you could please be quiet so everyone can hear the translation. Thank you. By such childhood pastimes as this, is drowning the inhabitants of Gokula in pool of ecstasy, and revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in knowledge by His supreme majesty and opulence that He is only conquered by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy and is free from all conceptions of awe and reverence. With great love, I again offer my obeisances to Lord Damodar hundreds and hundreds of times. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for the boon of personal liberation, nor the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon which may be obtained by executing the process of bhakti. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours as Bala Gopal in Vrindavan may ever be manifest in my heart. For what is the use of me of any other boon beside this? O Lord, your lotus face, which is encircled by locks of soft black hair, tinged with red, is kissed again and again by Mother Yashoda, and your lips are reddish like the bimba fruit. May this beautiful vision of your lotus face be ever manifest in my heart. Thousands and thousands of other benedictions are of no use to me. O Supreme Godhead, I offer my obeisances unto you. O Damodar, O Ananta, O Vishnu, O Master, O my Lord, be pleased upon me. By showering your glance of mercy upon me, deliver this poor ignorant fool who is immersed in an ocean of worldly sorrows and become visible to my eyes. Lord Damodar, just as the two sons of Kavera, Manigriva, and Alakavera are delivered from the curse of Narada and made into great devotees by you, in your form as a baby tied with a rope to a wooden grinding mortar, in the same way, please give me to you your own prema bhakti. I only long for this and have no desire for any kind of liberation. O Lord Damodar, I first of all offer my obeisances to the brilliantly effulgent robe which binds your belly. I then offer my obeisances to your belly, which is the abode of the entire universe. I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani, and I offer all obeisances to you, the Supreme Lord, who displays unlimited pastimes. Shri Radha Damodar Mother Yashoda Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, if you could all stand up now for the remaining part of the Aarti. Thank you.
So, Aarti is not over. Please sit down, sit down, sit down. And we have a few more minutes Kirtan, then after a Narsingha prayer, and then after that, Hare Krishna. So please follow us behind me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Jayo Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radhe Jaya. राधा गोकुलानंद की जय। ओम विश्वपाद परमहंस परिवेकाचार्य अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की, इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य शिल प्रभुपाद की, भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज शिल प्रभुपाद की, नाम आचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की, गौ निताय संध्या आरती की, श्री गंगा माई की, जमुना माई की, श्री वृंदावन धाम की, नवदीप मायापुर धाम की, जगन्नाथपुरी की, लाउडर जगन्नाथपुरी की, जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा की, राधा गोकुलानंद की, सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान की, भक्तिवेदांत मैनोर की, दामोदर अष्टकम की, श्री श्री राधा दामोदर भगवान की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories here, somebody bodies. All glories here, somebody bodies. All glories here, somebody bodies. All glories, Sri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you very much. So we're going to have a few more minutes, the Narsinga prayer, and then after that, Hare Krishna. Namaste Narasingaya. You come back here. Namaste Narasingaya. Namaste Narasingaya. Pela dalada dayane. Pela dalada dayane. Kasi Purvakshai Ahiranya Kasi Purvakshai Shilatankanam Kalae Shingo parato na shingo Ito na shingo parato na shingo Jato jato jamita to na shingo Jato jato jamita to nasingo Baye nasingo hirdaye nasingo Baye nasingo hirdaye nasingo Narasimhamade Sharanam Rapade Narasimhamade Sharanam Rapade Avakara Kamal Varana Kham Dvoda Singha Dalita Hiranyakasipu Utanu Bhingam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jayo Jagadish Hare Jayo Jagadish Hare Jayo Jagadish Hare Abkar Kamal Vara Adbhuta Singha Alita Hiranyakasi Tanu Binga Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Keshavadrita Nrsingadev, Jaya Nrsingadev. Jaya Nrsingadev, 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 Jaya Nrsingadev. Jayo Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. जोर से Nita Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, oh Hari Bo, oh Hari Bo. Nita Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, oh Hari Bo. Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Jayo Prabhupada. नरसिंह भगवान की, प्रहलाद महाराज की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, गोविंदाय की. Thank you very much. जीव जागो. Good boy. And you're with me, you go like that. Hare Krishna. And then, like reading here, and then, control blowing, yeah, I remember, because we cut out on the side, and then it's become a little bigger, and then they start, after I see reading it.
Both, I can't.
He's working in the library. He's working in the library now. There's food over there, mate.
Should I try? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Should I get the cartels? Yes, please. Where did I put my phone? No. Thank you. I haven't played in so long yet, so whatever's easiest. No, you can try it. Let's try it. But I haven't. Is it too loud? You're the expert. Should we start? Should I close the door? Yeah, that's okay. Thanks. Thanks. No, leave it. No, leave it. Yeah, it's noisy. It's fine. Okay. Start. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Radhadhani Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Nandana Jananandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Thank you for playing. So thank you devotees for assembling here. We're doing chapter 7, verse 25. Does everyone have the verse? Let's open it. Do you want a Bhagavad Gita? Do you want a Bhagavad Gita? There's one in the corner. You know it there on the right? Go up there. And then on the right, yeah, go on the step. And then on the right. On the right. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, start reading. Naham Prakasha Sarvisha. Sorry, I read it in a weird tune, but go on, read it. Can you read Naham?
I'll be reading back.
Yeah. I didn't do the right tune, but you can adjust it.
Naham Prakasha Sarvasha
Yogamaya Samaritaha Mudo Yam Nabijananti Lokamam Ajam Avyayam. Does anyone want to repeat? Naham Prakasha Sarvesha Yogomaya samarita Mudayamna Bijananti Loko Mam Ajamavyayam. Anyone else? No? Do you want to do it? You can try it. Naham Prakasha Sarvesha Yogamaya Samarita Mudayamna Bijananti Loka Mam Ajay. Well done. So word for word, na, no, aham, I, prakashaha, manifest, sarvasya, to everyone, yogamaya, by internal potency, samarita, covered, mudha, foolish, ayam, these, na, not, abhijananti, can understand, loka, persons, mam, me, ajam, unborn, avyayam, inexhaustible. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Manor ki jai. So translation, I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. So if you want to repeat after me, I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. So purport. It may be argued that since Krishna was present on this earth and was visible to everyone, then why isn't he manifest to everyone now? But actually he was not manifest to everyone. When Krishna was present, there were only a few people who could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the assembly of gurus, when Shishupal spoke against Krishna being elected president of the assembly, Bhishma supported him and proclaimed him to be the supreme god. Similarly, the Pandavas and a few others knew that he was the supreme, but not everyone. He was not revealed to the non-devotees and to the common man. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that but for his pure devotees, all men consider him to be like themselves. He was manifest only to his devotees as a reservoir of all pleasure, but to others, to unintelligent non-devotees, he was covered by his internal potency. In the prayers of Kunti in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto's 8th chapter, 19th verse, it is said that the Lord is covered by the curtain of Yogamaya, and thus ordinary people cannot understand him. This Yogamaya curtain is also confirmed in the Ishopanishad mantra 15, in which the devotee prays, Hiranyamayana patrena satyasa pititham mukham tattvam pushan aparinu satya dharmaya drishtaya. O my Lord, you are the maintainer of the entire universe, and devotional service to you is the highest religious principle. Therefore, I pray that you will also maintain me. Your transcendental form is covered by the Yoga Maya, the Brahma Jyotir that is covering of the internal potency. May you kindly remove this glowing effulgence that impedes me seeing your Satchit Ananda Vigraha, your eternal form of bliss and knowledge. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his transcendental form of bliss and knowledge, is covered by the internal potency of the Brahma Jyoti, and the less intelligent personists cannot see the Supreme on this account. Also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto's 14th chapter 7th verse. There is a prayer by Brahma. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Super Soul, O Master of all mystery, who can calculate your potency and pastimes in this world. You are always expanding your internal potency, and therefore no one can understand you. Learned scientists and learned scholars can examine the atomic constitution of the material world, or even the planets, but still they are unable to calculate your energy and potency, although you are present before them. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is not only unborn but also avyaya, inexhaustible. His eternal form is bliss and knowledge, and his energies are all inexhaustible. Such a nice purport, isn't it? Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Militanyana Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swaya Rupa Kadamayam Tatati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Savadetam Savadutam Parijanatita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Rindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priyam Vanchakapatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you all for coming here today to discuss Bhagavad Gita. I'll try and say a few words that are helpful or explain some of it, and with all your blessings and mercy of all the assembled and online devotees, I can say something to serve Prabhupada. So thank you. So I just wanted to start. So what's the name of chapter 7? Without looking. Yeah, so knowledge was absolute. So I always do that because I always test people before, because even for myself, I'm like, what's the name of this chapter? And what's the name of chapter 6? Does anyone remember? Maybe it's like about like yoga, like Ashta. So dhyana yoga, yeah. So just want to start with that because at the end of chapter 6, at the end of chapter 6, Krishna says in 47, of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, he's the most intimately united with me in yoga and the highest of all. So he sort of says that, and I wanted to do a bit of a recap because we're already near the end of the chapter, and I think often, even in the past when I've done class and things, it's kind of you're just looking at the verse, but I wanted to look at like the whole chapter, what's going on, and like where we're at. Thought it'd be helpful. So Krishna says there that, you know, you have to always think of me in devotion. So in this chapter, he's giving the knowledge then, the knowledge of the absolute. It's the start of the bhakti section from chapter 7. So Krishna is now telling us from verse 1 in chapter 7 how we can actually always think of him and be the best yogi that he considers. And he also says that in full faith, and with faith comes knowledge, and without this knowledge we doubt Krishna's position. So that's also why he's giving us the knowledge. It's very important. And upon first reading the chapter, it can seem a bit random. I don't know if you remember in the chapter, he's talking about the modes of material nature, then he's talking about the devtas, the demigods. It's all, you know, doesn't seem to be all piecing together. But I was listening to Mahatma Das, and he was saying that actually, because Krishna is Arjun's intimate friend, Arjun doesn't have to necessarily ask the question. He knows what questions are running through his mind. So that was like an interesting explanation because it does seem a bit all over the place. But Krishna is sharing all this knowledge. He says even in verse 2, you know, I should declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. So that's how important this chapter is, and the knowledge that he's sharing. There's nothing further that we need to know. So in this first section of the chapter, from verses 1 to 3, he talks more about hearing. So in the first one, he says hear, and we always hear how important this hearing is. Even in Srimad Bhagavatam, attentive hearing can really help you progress and reach higher lengths in your spiritual life. And even in text 3, he does say, out of many thousands of men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who achieve perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. It seems a bit unattainable, but Prabhupada used to say you can do it in this one life. If you just, it's so easy. And I think I was listening also because Mahatma Das was giving an overview of the chapter, and he was like, yes, it is. If you're trying to learn an instrument or something else, you practice attentively 2 hours a day playing the piano or something. So why can't you achieve this as well if you attentively give yourself to the process? Because it's all there in the books. And there's so many people who can help us. So that was an interesting perception on it. Because definitely when I read that verse, I was like, okay, I'm not going to be one of the thousand of men, but we have to be positive and have to believe that, this process does work, because it does, and that we will reach the goal. And the next part, from verse 4 to 12, he talks about the material and spiritual energies. So he gives the examples: I'm the fragrance of earth, I'm the intelligence of the intelligent. And I really like those few verses, and the one on 7 I think is one of my favorite, when he says, everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on thread. So Krishna is this thread that underpins everything. And then the next, from 13 to 14, he says, I control the modes, so surrender to me. That famous verse 14, this energy of mine consisting of 3 modes is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered onto me can easily cross it. So surrendering, again, he's implying. And then from the next verses, from 15 to 19, he talks about the 4 kinds of men that surrender to him, and the 4 that don't. Saying the impious never surrender and the pious do. And then we're coming on to this section, which includes verse 25, talking about surrendering to the demigods and impersonalism. Because we can see also, Prabhupada in the purport, he used Ishopanishad, which is kind of proving the personalism of the Lord. So I just wanted to give a bit of a recap. And I'm going to go over, I've sort of split the verse into 2. So the first part that Krishna is saying, and just discuss a bit of that, what Prabhupada is saying, and then the second. And then I'm going to share some things that Prabhupada says, or other things that I've listened to that can help us uncover this veil so we can see Krishna. So I think there'd be good tips. So the first part, Krishna says, I'm never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. And in 7:15, he mentions the 4 people who don't surrender to him. Does anyone remember the 4 people? We didn't in Bhakti Shastri. I didn't remember it. Should I just say it? So the grossly foolish, the mudas, firstly. Then second, the lowest of mankind, Naradama. 3, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion. And 4, who partake in the atheistic nature of the demons. So he's kind of explaining that these are the foolish or unintelligent people who don't surrender to me. And even in the purports, he even Prabhupada writes about these atheistic plan makers and how they're called miscreants, and they're not using their intelligence wisely. And for the unintelligence part, Prabhupada says in Krishna, in the earlier verses in the same chapter, 7:20, people whose intelligence is stolen by material desires often surrender to demigods. So he's sort of explaining who are these unintelligent and foolish people before coming to this verse. Krishna's explaining it. And Prabhupada was saying a few things around these unintelligent people. He's saying, so don't take it very lightly, take it seriously, take to Krishna consciousness. Krishna has come, avatar, and his instruction should be followed. Then we'll be happy. Everything is there in Krishna's instruction for our benefit. Because we are rascals, muda, naradama, we have no knowledge, we refuse to accept. This is our qualification. So he's kind of saying why we're foolish. And he also says in another point that we should become inquisitive, otherwise there's no progress. So until we sort of teach this process, become more inquisitive, we still are quite foolish and unintelligent. Yeah. What I just read. I'll share it with you. It's from a Prabhupada lecture. Yeah, he literally, I listened to a couple of lectures around that other verse when he's talking about foolish people. And then he's talking about being, inquisitive, otherwise there's no progress, and it's been taught by acharyas. And you gave the example of Sanatana Goswami. He approached Lord Chaitanya in this mood, and even though Sanatana Goswami was a quite high man in society, he still approached in a humble mood for understanding. So and he inquired, who am I? So unless we do this, questioning and taking it seriously, we're still quite, I think, foolish and unintelligent. So the second part of the verse, Krishna says, "For them I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible." And then Prabhupada writes in the purport, actually, where does he say it? He says the point, "It may be argued that since Krishna was visible to everyone when he was present on earth, how can it be said that he was not manifest to everyone? But actually he was not manifest to everyone. When Krishna was present, there were only a few people who could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead." It's very interesting. He gives the example of Shishupal. And in Krishna book, in the story when Krishna, kills Shishupal, it was very interesting because Shishupal is saying such things which are quite shocking. How can you say this in front of the Lord? He's saying, "I cannot understand how you selected this cowherd boy Krishna and have left aside all these great personalities. I think Krishna to be no better than a crow. How can you say this to the Lord?" But obviously he was covered by the Maya. And it's very interesting because in this verse, Krishna uses the word Yoga Maya, when actually there's these two types of energies. You've got Mahamaya and Yoga Maya. And usually Yoga Maya is a bit of an oxymoron. It's used to describe, the pastime of Damodar Leela, because the Yoga Maya is, yoga is your union with the Lord, and the Maya is illusion. And Yoga Maya is actually the illusion that strengthens your devotion to the Lord. And Chaitanya Charampabi was explaining why Krishna in this verse has used, instead of saying Mahamaya, which is the Maya that we're under the illusion, he uses the word Yoga Maya, and he's saying that from Krishna's perspective, it's all one energy. From electricity, you get heat and cold, hot and cold, but it's still one energy. So that was one of his explanations, and there was a few different ones for people who want to get really technical in why Krishna's using that word. And it's really interesting because we see in the past times, even when Krishna had dirt in his mouth, and Mother Vishoda, the Yoga Maya is covered there, so it's there in order for them to actually play out the story and their position. It's Kishore Yogini. So it's there to facilitate all the pastimes. And can you imagine if even Mother Shoda realized this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Would she tie him up? Would she, all these different pastimes that we relish even right now? It's really beautifully detailed. We were reading before in Damodar Jani in Shivaram Maharaj's book. So beautiful, really detailing the pastime. And it's really interesting because this verse is talking about the other aspect, this sort of Mahamaya, that the non-devotees can't see me. And they often, in 9/11, Krishna says, "Fools deride me when I descend in human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Lord." It's very interesting. And they're kind of saying that these people don't have the eyes of devotion, and they're not able to see because they're so covered. But the example was given that if you're trying to approach someone senior, you can't just go straight to them. You have to go through different people. And in that same way, Krishna sort of conceals himself. And do you know some of the reasons of maybe why Krishna has concealed himself from these other people? Or do you have any, what are your thoughts? Okay, so why has Krishna concealed himself? Why isn't he not available, but visible to everyone? Even when he came on earth, and even now, you meet some, they didn't see, and even in general, not everyone in society is Krishna conscious. So what do you think could be, why is he doing that? Anyone?
Because we have to have a certain level of faith and affection for someone, for them to be able to reveal themselves.
Yeah.
Even with human beings, it's not like you're gonna give yourself to someone straight away. You have to develop kind of some sort of friendship before you reveal, not necessarily even intimate things, but just, general things about yourself. You don't just tell someone everything straight away.
It's true.
You develop some friendship, so maybe, on some level is Krishna.
Yeah.
Just one thought.
I can't hear you very well, Abby. Heard some of it. Does anyone else want to add, like, any reasons you think that could be hidden? No? Yeah, he's a person, exactly. It's like that class the other day that Karthik Chandra Prabhu was saying, like he has these pastimes with his associates, like Madhu Mangala, and he was giving the story. It was so nice, like all these pastimes. Like sometimes he won't give the sweet to Madhu Mangala first, he would take it, because he's a person. And I think that's kind of what this verse is saying, because it's coming off from the impersonal aspect, that people don't see him as a person. Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji was explaining why Krishna conceals himself. So he reciprocates with our desires, like what you were saying, and not just our desires, but our mentality, because he lives within us, he knows us. But he's saying that it's because people have this attitude of defiance, and they don't have the dependence. So they have a defiance attitude, like, I'll do this, I'm God, sort of playing in their life, that they're not seeing this, the Lord and the dependence, so they can't access Krishna. It was very interesting when I was thinking about it, because, like, I don't want to go into personal reflection, but it's very interesting, because if you see all these people who are great devotees and things, they have this attitude of dependence and surrender. Like you hear the prayers of Queen Kunti, all these other devotees, they really do depend. The Pandavas, like, they're depending on the Lord, they went through so much, but they're still really depending on him and knowing that he's there. And then he gave that, we are so tiny and Krishna is so mighty, so we can't demand the sun to rise. So how can we demand, Krishna just to manifest like that? It was very interesting. And that actually, again, because we have this attitude, we don't have this attitude of service, so he doesn't manifest. It's very interesting. And we don't have this sort of compliance or recognition of our position as a servant. And I think in Nectar of Instruction, in the introduction, Prabhupada writes that advancement in Krishna consciousness is dependent on the attitude of the follower. That's like one of the first things we read. So it's this attitude that's very important. And again, if you don't have the faith, then why will he give you the insight to understand him? It's sort of a cycle that goes on. And I just wanted to touch a bit on, Prabhupada says here a bit about Queen Kunti's prayers. They're so beautiful. I don't know if you read them from the first canto, 8th. Have you read them, like, through them? They're really nice, and Gauranga Darshan does a nice video, like, on the whole prayers. So I just wanted to cover some of them because he's mentioned them here. In a similar way, he says here, it's said that the Lord is covered by the curtain of Yoga Maya, and thus ordinary people cannot understand him. So she's saying in this prayer, in the first and the 18th verse, you are so great that you are the origin of everything, beyond the influence of this material influence. You're existing both within and without everything, yet you're invisible to all. So interesting, isn't it? And Prabhupada writes in that purport, this checking curtain is called the Maya energy of the Supreme Lord, and it controls the limited vision of the rebellious soul. So again, we're seeing the attitude of defiance through, like, their rebellious soul. And in the next verse, she says really nicely, people's vision is covered by this Maya, so they're ignorant. And Prabhupada gives another reason why people can't see him. He says it's partially due to their poor fund of knowledge and partially due to their stubborn obstinacy, which results from various misdeeds in the past and present, so past lives as well. Such persons could not recognize Lord Krishna even when he was present before them. So it even says it calls the Lord Dokshayam, so beyond the range of material conception and beyond the material senses, that we can't see him. So it was they're really nice, beautiful prayers. And then she says in the verse 20, because she's so humble, she says, how can I understand you? Which is so nice. She has this humility, even though she is one of, like, the greatest devotees, and so many sages and other people pray to imbibe her mood. But she says, that verse is so nice. She says that all these Parahamsas and Muninams, these really advanced people, they can understand you. How can I understand you? And the answers kind of in that verse is through Bhakti Yoga, which we know. But it's such a nice verse and really heartfelt. And I just wanted to touch on, so here Prabhupada and the purport's talking about the Ishopanishad. Mantra 15. So he's saying, this Yogamaya appears as the Brahma Jyotir, and these impersonalists want to see this, and that's kind of what this is saying. For us it's like uncover the light, but them they want to be blinded by the light. So it's quite interesting. Then I just wanted to cover some ways we can, unveil it and see Krishna more, and just a bit of a personal example. For example, in our lives, I wasn't born in a Krishna conscious family. They were like Hindu and conscious of God. But yeah, in somewhat Krishna was veiled to me. Like we have a deity of Krishna at home, and I used to always just look at him, but I never really felt anything. And it seems that in life, as we're discussing, as you surrender and you have that faith, he's uncovering himself to me and like in my life, especially when I was staying at the manor. It just really, really was like a deep experience of uncovering. And I don't know if anyone wants to share their experience of this. Do they feel that he was uncovered to them? You came totally out of it.
For me, I guess it happened in stages. I was brought up in, my parents are also, they have faith in God, so it's not like I ever kind of, that was all, I always had that understanding. But yeah, I just remember feeling like, realizing actually that God has quality, and hearing the the descriptions of Krishna's Lila and how he looks like, it's so amazing, because we don't have that. How I was brought up, it's like you don't know anything about God, like you just worship him and he's kind of some mystery.
Some mystery.
But it's so nice to actually know that God is a person. Like I had the understanding that God is a person. But no, you're not allowed to know about him. So it's like, well, how do I have a relationship with him?
Yeah, it's very true. So
that was my experience.
So he was gradually sort of unveiled to you as well. So this Yoga Maya, or Mahamaya, you want to call it, was sort of taken down because you came to Krishna consciousness and you saw him. Yeah. Well, gradually, one day you will, in theory. And what about you? Do you want to share anything? It's okay if you don't want to. No, not forcing. I was just giving a personal experience because obviously, you both grew up in it, so it's a bit different. For someone who's coming from the outside, I just wanted to share that. But then I wanted to cover how can we uncover and see this, uncover this curtain, show us Krishna. And Prabhupada shares some really nice points in some lectures I was listening to, specifically in this one. And it's always so funny, isn't it? Because when we read and we have a certain question, if you follow on and you just read a bit later, you always find some answer in his purport to a question you had before. I found that quite a lot. And even if I've asked a senior person a question, they're just read the purport 3 verses down, the answer's there. So he's always answering our questions. So the first one, he says, we have to become qualified. So he says, it explained there, he does not reveal himself. Why he shall reveal himself to an unqualified person? That is Krishna's prerogative. I can't speak. Prerogative. Sorry. Yeah, thanks, Abby. If he likes, he will reveal. If he does not like, he will not reveal. You cannot by force see Krishna. Therefore, first of all, be qualified. Then try to see Krishna. He's not exposed. It's very true, isn't it? It's like with anything. How can we just expect, how many millions of billions of lifetimes have we been wandering around doing what? So, and then he says the point, so everything requires qualification. Therefore, this Krishna conscious movement is meant for qualifying you to see God 24 hours a day. This is the sum and substance of Krishna consciousness. So he's giving us again the answer. It is so simple. And then the other, later on, he says, it's the mind. The difficulty is mind. Otherwise, there's no difficulty. I'm foolish, therefore. Otherwise, Krishna is visible to everyone. We've got two kinds of experience, within and without. He is present with and without, but still we cannot see him. This is my foolishness, this is my imperfection. You have to become perfect, then we will see him everywhere. This morning sadhana, spiritual consciousness advancement, and the more we advance in spiritual consciousness, Krishna will realize more and more. It was really nice because he was sharing tips how we can get there. And of course I've already covered this sort of the bhakti process, and we know the 9 limbs of devotional service, and yeah, it's there. And another really big one I was reading a lot, so again, Chaitanya Charan, when I was listening to him, he was saying, you know, we have this knowledge, we can have the knowledge because we understand we need to strengthen our spiritual intelligence, but we need the mercy. You know, everyone always talks about it, we need the mercy of a spiritual master, these things. So we need the knowledge to understand that I'm not the body, and I'm the soul, but we have to offer our heart to God. It's really about a lot of, you know, even in other Shiti Shakti Mataji, it's all about the heart and the love to God, and then he bestows our mercy. And it's kind of like the pastime, the Damodar Leela, you know, the 2 fingers short that they always talk about. There's a really good book about it by Shobhila. I can't remember his name, but I haven't read it all. But you know, it's the endeavor and the mercy, the 2 fingers short. So we're endeavoring, but we also need the mercy. And Prabhupada writes, how can we get this mercy? So I was reading through the Guru Disciple PDF because I've got the thing tomorrow, and there was a point he says, this mercy is delivered through a combination of various manifestations of the Lord's mercy. So the combination is the Cheta Guru, Srila Prabhupada, the Guru Parampara, one's Diksha Guru, the other Shikshas. You know, we know all this, the holy name, the Shastra, the 9 processes of devotional service. So he's giving us the mercy through all these mediums. But it is seeing it and maybe in that way, because he's staying there. And I think this is in the GBC, some GBC thing. So yeah, that was interesting. And I just wanted to cover one more thing. So I was listening to a lecture about, you know, when Krishna and Srimad Bhagavatam, he's returning from war and he's coming to Dwarka. And in that verse, you know, they were missing him so much. They're saying, "Oh, lotus-eyed Lord, whenever you go away to Mathura, Vrindavan, or Hastinapur to meet your friends and relatives, every moment of your absence seems like millions of years. Oh, infallible one, at that time our eyes become useless as if bereft of sun." It's really nice, isn't it? And she's giving this, it was really nice, I'll share it with all of you. It was a really nice lecture. She was saying, you know, he can manifest and withdraw himself as he likes. He's the Lord, you know. And sometimes we find it difficult to have this taste, to want to read, to actually, you know, feel the Lord's presence. And we have to really invite Krishna to walk through the streets of our heart and mind like he's walking the streets of Dwarka and glancing at all the devotees. And it was such a nice meditation of praying to the Lord, you know, really like, please walk through my heart and my mind. And again, Prabhupada covers there that this illusionary energy or the curtain of Maya has to be removed. And when it is done so, the living entity can see the Lord face to face and all miseries are removed. So it's so nice. And she was saying that this curtain of Maya is not only, you know, an illusionary energy, but it's also we have our different curtains, our curtain of fear, our curtain of, you know, so many things that we believe and that often make us feel like we can't overcome them, you know, and they're like our own curtains and our own illusion that we create. And it was a really interesting way to look at it. Yeah, sorry, it was really fascinating when I listened to it. I'll send it to all of you, it was so nice. And she was saying how even in the Mahabharata, there was all these different curtains that the different people have over them, and Krishna made it played out to perfection so that all of them, you know, saw to light. Yeah, it's quite interesting. And then she was covering that this surrender is actually, you know, I'm ready to let go of controlling my life and direct it to the Lord and hand it over, which we always hear about. And when we have these situations where we have this curtain that we've created, that we should, it's actually an opportunity to surrender, you know. Our narratives can be so strong and we have a powerlessness, like, you know, we just feel like a bit lost. So it's like praying to the Lord that, you know, I can't come over this, please help me protect my delicate bhakti lata beach, you know, growing in our heart. And, you know, it's the opportunity to surrender when we have this weakness. It was a really nice prayer, and I think we covered it when you were both there when we were in Wales, but you weren't there. One of the Mataji, she was giving a really nice workshop about going through all that bead, all the steps, and actually assessing. And I wanted to cover some of that because it was a really nice exercise that I did as well. That you can go through on your own. So she was saying that. So these 9 stages, for example, Shraddha, like we need the faith. So we can assess ourselves. Where am I with their faith? What experiences, what am I doing to strengthen it and water this root? And then moving to the next one, the sadhu sangha. So where am I? How often am I associating and actually doing this sadhu sangha? It was a really nice point for me because obviously I'm quite far away from everyone and things, so it's good to assess yourself on these points. And the third one, bhajana kriya, so practicing. So where are you with your chanting? Do I do sadhana sheets? All these things we can assess ourselves, so the tools are there, it's how we use them. And in this particular lecture, in this other one I was listening to, she was actually talking about the symptoms of devotional service and nectar of devotion. The 3, like pure devotional service brings immediate relief from all kinds of material desires and things. Where are we there? And in these different symptoms we can assess ourselves. And I think this bhakti process, if you even see, it's a very introspective, a very thinking, where am I with everything? Like Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he suggests it introspectively. If you see all his songs, how deep is he going? And it's really a process that we have to look within ourselves, and I think often we don't. I know I'm talking about myself and preaching to myself as well, because that's what we need for progress. I mean, materially we always do that. I know we do. We have at work we've got performance reviews, always seeing where you're going, where's the goal, how's your progress. So in the same way, why don't we do that spiritually? So yeah, I think we should have this more formal process, maybe with mentors, because we do that at work. Like we set priorities at the beginning of the year, and then we're assessing where are you with those priorities. It's really good. So I just want to come to an end. So this chapter 7 is such a beautiful chapter. I really recommend you all dive into it, and it comes to the point of taking shelter and surrendering. That's what Krishna is really saying, as is the message of the Gita anyway. But it's so nice, and understanding that I'm not the supreme controller and taking this guidance of a higher power. So that's really nice. And I just wanted to, there's lots of other things we can do to see the Lord, like surrender. And in 4:11 he says, I reward you accordingly to how you surrender to me. And like they say, you take 1 step towards Krishna, he takes 10 steps towards you. It's really nice. I just wanted to sort of give a summary of what I've discussed. So chapter 7, I gave an overview of this foolish and unintelligent from, previously what he's saying. Then I just discussed a bit of this covering, the Yoga Maya, the Mahamaya, the residents of Vrindavan, and over other people, like the non-devotees, and this attitude of defiance, rebellious nature, a bit about Queen Kunti's prayers. And then I discovered, how can we see the Lord? How can we have him reveal himself to us? The main thing, become qualified, understanding this mind, having the mercy and praying, and also developing this vision and faith. And really, Shruti Shakti said such a nice point in a lecture, this Bhakti comes from Radharani. It was really nice. Listen to that lecture as well. Sorry, I'm just saying parts of it. It's so nice. And the one thing that's really stuck with me is that if you're going to run after anyone, run after Krishna. That was my favorite point, because we run after so many things in life. So many things. But are we running after Krishna? Yeah. So I just want to end it there, and I wanted to play I wanted to play Prabhupada speaking about something, because I thought it was very it really motivated me, and we got. So I'll just play it. Can you hear?
Do you read? If you don't read, then you will feel restless. Let me go from Japan to India, from India to Japan.
Can you hear what he's saying?
You are restless because you don't read. I am laboring so hard for you, but you don't take advantage. Don't take advantage of eating and sleeping. Take advantage of these books. Then your life will be successful. My duty opportunity I am giving, so valuable thing, day and night, try to convince his word to word. And if you don't take advantage of this, then what can I do for you?
Sorry you couldn't hear it well, but he's just saying if you don't take advantage of what I've done, the books, then what can I do for you? It was really nice in the same mood. So thank you so much for listening to my class. I want to go. Any corrections, questions, anything? Sorry if I made any mistakes. Just trying my best.
It was really interesting. I think my mind wandered a bit, but maybe you can just clarify. You were talking about, I think you heard in Prabhupada lecture, how he was saying that we have even the qualities of Muddhas and Naradamas, that is what he said. So it's, I just found that so interesting that even though we've come to Krishna, that we still have the qualities of the ones that never come to Krishna. I just found it really kind of baffling, but also fascinating.
Yeah, I'll share that with you. In that one, he's talking about verse 7.15. In that lecture, I'll share it with you. Yeah, so he's sort of saying, do you want me to read it again? So don't take it very lightly, take it seriously. Take the Krishna consciousness. Krishna has come, avatar, and his instruction should be followed. Then we'll be happy. Everything is there in Krishna's instruction for our benefit. But because we are rascals, Mudha, Naradama, we have no knowledge, we refuse to accept. This is our qualification. Yeah, it's really nice. Anything else, anyone, that you want to add or say? No. Thank you so much for coming. I really, really appreciate it. So thanks for supporting me.
Bhakti and Koma Ki Jai.
What was it? All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you for coming. Honestly, I appreciate it so much, all of you, for taking the time. Hope I shared something useful. Yeah, I'll send it to you. It was really good class. I'll send it to you. Like it's you know Radha Govinda Devadasi, you know that one who gave that lecture. She's amazing. I'll send it to all of you.
Was it Mahatma who was talking about to you, like you want to become expert at something, anything else you do?
Yes, Mahatma Das. Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll send you all the links.
It sounds so similar when you said it.
Yeah. It is. I think it's sorry. It's like being attentive in the practice. I mean, you guys have been doing it longer than me and more expert than me, but that's all one thing I know. It's like with singing and stuff. I don't do it regularly, so I get really nervous. So I sing. With your help, you were smiling, encouraging me.